through the depths of darkness. If you know her as House Mama, these stories will shine a new light. For the first time ever, Shannon is ready to share the real story live. The trials that broke her down, the moments that changed everything, and how someone who couldn't stand who she was became someone who built her entire life around bringing souls together. This Wednesday, January 14th at 5 p.m. Eastern, you'll discover what made House Mama who she really is. The raw truth, the painful lessons, and the transformation that led to everything you see today. Don't miss this episode on the House Mama Unity and Community Podcast YouTube channel, because sometimes the most beautiful communities are built by the people who once felt most alone.
Hello, I'm Shannon Scott. I'm the host of the House Mama podcast. Sorry, I was on my phone yammering with someone on the side. So today it's just me. I really haven't, given my full testimony really anywhere. I briefly touch on it here and there on Facebook. And when I work with people outside of the home, I do share a little bit of my story. I think it's better for connection, but I've not really opened up fully about, my journey up to this point. So I guess today is the day. So I made a mistake. We pre-recorded with Forrest Lang on Monday of this week. His show won't be aired until Wednesday. And I had actually said on the show that the previous show was for Gwenny Mees, which is incorrect. Gwenny Mees was on last week, so she would be the rewind for this week for what I'm talking about. So you might hear that in my introduction next week with the show with Forrest Lang, but it would really be the rewind for me. Really doesn't matter in the end of everything, but I just kind of like to, clear things up and touch base. So last week we had Gwenny Mees on. She's a friend of mine that I met when we were stationed in Milan, Italy. She is from the Netherlands. She is a yoga instructor. She does inner child healing. Incredible human being. And wow, just lost my whole train of thought live. I love when that happens. So yeah, we're going to do the rewind with Gwenny now. So here is the rewind. Hello, everybody. I'm Shannon Scott. I'm the host of the House Mama podcast. Gwenny is going to be on the show. She is a yoga teacher as well as working with the inner child.
I have a younger brother, and there was no one to take care of us, no one to take care of me. So what happens is, it happens a lot as the eldest daughter. They take on the entire family. They take on the responsibility for everybody. So instead of having parents taking care of me, I was taking care of my mom. I was taking care of my younger brother. I think everything comes down to healing the inner child.
Yeah.
And of course, there's a lot of people who tell me, yeah, I had a wonderful childhood. Okay, did you really? Was your father emotionally present? Was your mom loving? Was she able to hold you? Was she able to give you the love that you needed? And if you're pleasing everybody else, you forget yourself. But you have to give yourself the love and everything to yourself now.
Yes.
I think it's the most important thing now.
It is.
Healing trauma. Giving your inner child everything you missed, you longed for, you need to become whole. Started doing yoga, I think, like 8 years ago, and I started teaching 5 years ago. I just felt it was my calling.
Yeah,
it helped me so much. I mean, trauma. You can talk to therapists all you want. It's talking, yes, of course, it helps. But the trauma is stuck in the body, so it's very good to combine the talking and the body work together to release trauma.
And you and Lee were such a staple in my life at that point. You were the first people to my memory that did not turn me away no matter how wild I was, because I know I was super wild when we lived in Italy. That's when I started becoming really wild, was when we lived in Italy, because what I was hearing and seeing started becoming very prominent around that age. We're trying to have fun and, be kids. And now here we are, each going through our own awakening at different times, different ways, just to find out that we were placed in each other's lives at that point in time, to come back into each other's lives at this point. Man. That was the first episode I've cried on. I'm actually a little bit proud of myself for that. Every single week I say it. The show from the previous week always blends in beautifully with the following week. It did blend in beautifully with what Forrest was discussing, but it very much plays a role in what I'm talking about this week in my own personal journey. Man, it's almost hard to put this all in a nutshell, so I'm just going to let it flow. What I typically do is I allow what is being said to me to run through me, and I typically will stutter and step back on my words, because as I'm receiving it, I'm saying it. So that's what I plan on doing today. Man, I was born like this. I moved all around the world when I was a child. My dad was working for the government, and we lived on 5 out of 7 continents. We started moving overseas. First place we went was to Manila, Philippines. And we took a 23-hour flight, and I was just a toddler at that point. I have very, very small memories of being overseas, but the memories that are most important to me are the ones that played into my spirituality and who and what I am today. And that includes, so many people as well. I guess I'm a mystic. That's what people call me. Most people ask me, what are you? What do you do? My first response is usually I'm a lot. I am a mystic. I am a shaman. A shaman by the right of the name is someone that sees in the dark. There's no printout paper like you would typically get if you were, a Reiki master or a Sekhmet master. The purpose of a shaman is to spend that time connecting with God. There are self-healers, and there's a basic 7-step initiation. But it's all very private. It's all between yourself and God. Ever since I was a child, I have had a very close relationship with God. I was in the Catholic Church when I was younger. My mom is Catholic. My dad is Protestant. So I received my first communion in a Catholic church when we lived in Italy when I was 13 years old. I had a close relationship with God prior to that. However, religion was in our home, but it wasn't the top of the list in our home. It was more kind of a tradition, I guess, that, religion followed down through the family. So I did receive my first communion, and man, I wore this giant cross for so long. My parents had gotten it for me, and it was my most prized anything that I had. And I remember I lost it when we lived in Morocco, and how devastated I was. I was rebaptized Christian when I was 22 years old. I went to rehab. Actually, January 19th, 2007 was when I went to rehab. So it's almost been 19 years since I left rehab. And I was rebaptized after that point. I then went to the Ohio Christian University to obtain my Associate of Arts in Business Management, my Bachelor of Arts in Psychology. Actually, let me backtrack a little bit. I was a few classes short from actually legitimately graduating with my Bachelor's of Arts in Psychology. However, I did independently finish those courses, and in my very professional opinion, went on to obtain my master's by my own independent studies. I've studied psychology for the past 20 years. My desire and drive to study psychology began because I was trying to figure out my own mind. I was trying to figure out why I was the way that I was when I was younger. I was diagnosed with several mental health disorders growing up. Mostly depression, ADHD, anxiety, all the, I guess, pretty typical diagnoses, bipolar disorder. I was on a slew of medication growing up. None of it ever worked. And I kept a lot of what I was truly going through to myself. My fear of anyone finding out what really played through my mind had been prominent in my head since I was 13 years old. I started having visions when I was 7. That's the first time I actually remember having visions. I'm sure I had them prior to that, but I don't remember them. And I began when I was 7 years old. I'll never forget. I was living in La Paz, Bolivia at the time, and I was having very horrific visions of things that no 7-year-old child would even know about. By the time I was 13, those visions were so much at the forefront of my mind that I began drawing them in my diary. My mom actually read my diary. She was worried about me. And when she brought it to my attention, I ran away that day. And to this day, I can still hear her screaming my name. Oof. Chills. I can still hear her screaming my name as she's chasing behind me. And I was just running. I was so terrified. Oh, man. Wow. Sorry. By the time I was 15 years old, I was already experiencing very, very manic episodes, a lot of aggression, a lot of lying, manipulating, narcissism. But I grew up learning that to be a regular thing and understanding that. There's a lot of things that I'm not going to talk about today, but they're all very relevant to what was happening in my life growing up. My mother is very wounded, and she's never healed from that. She's actually never discussed a lot of things that I really wish that she would discuss. And that bled over onto my sisters and I. My sisters and I all individually experienced our own individual lives growing up, and we all saw it very differently. However, we all did see a lot of things very much the same. Yeah, man. By 16 years old, we were living in Africa, and I was, experimenting, drugs, alcohol. We were going out to nightclubs. We were allowed to get in nightclubs when we lived overseas. There was no age limit. We went with the United States Marine Corps. They took us, and they were basically our babysitters. So by the time I was 16 years old, I was so out of control. I was actually expelled from school. We went to the American schools overseas, very prestigious schools, very small classes, royalty, ambassadors' children. And beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Sorry, these memories come back to me, and I was very, very lucky. I was very lucky to see the things that I got to see. So by 16 years old, my mental health had crashed really bad. I had been in and out of therapy since I was 12 years old. And I just begged my parents to send me back to the United States. I just really thought I was missing out on something here. So at 16 years old, I actually moved back to Ohio by myself. And I was living with my best friend and her mom. And I was also staying with my sister sometimes. And I was very out of control. I ended up attempting suicide at that point, and I was put into a psychiatric unit. Where I then started to not only discuss things that had actually happened to me, but things that I had seen in my mind that I was unaware at the time were actually visions. And I was just blurting them out and screaming them. And, you know, the counselors were calling me out on that. I'll never forget. We were on the phone with my dad, and they kept asking my dad, is it possible that these things happen? And he was just like, no, not at all. But my brain very vividly remembered these things happening. However, I had absolutely no idea that any kind of spiritual world existed. I was very much raised in religion. There was absolutely no talk of spirituality in my home. I didn't have friends that had any idea about spirituality. My journey up to this point was intentional for me to not know. I had to learn an incredible amount of pain, and I had to learn that pain while listening to what I now know were my guides, ancestors, angels, and God. Always that small voice in the back of my head that told me to keep going, not give up. I never had voices in my head that told me to do bad things. It was always just that small whisper to keep going. So by the time I was 22 years old, January 19, 2007, I went to rehab. Excuse me. I wouldn't necessarily say I was an addict. I was just very desperate to fit in. So I pretty much did anything that I could just to have friends, to fit in, you know, to have that lifestyle. I was a very young mom. I gave birth to my daughter when I was 19 years old. So at that point, she was in a foster home, which was actually her babysitter at the time and still very, very close to our family. She was very lucky to be there. And I went to rehab. When I was released, no, I'm sorry. Let me backtrack, because this is actually where I understood spirituality. I went to Stanton Villa in New Lexington, Ohio. And the very first night that I was in rehab, we went to a meeting in a church down the street. And it was a dingy church. It smelled like water. It was very dark. And we were in the basement of this church, and I'll never forget, they said in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous, if you keep coming back, you're going to hear your story. And that night I heard my story, the very first night in rehab. And that's when my Kundalini opened. I will never forget, it felt like an egg cracked inside my head. And then I felt a very slow moving, thick, warm liquid move from the top of my head through my entire body, every limb, every tendon, muscle, ligament, bone. I felt it. It paralyzed me. I had my eyes open and I was looking around, but I couldn't say anything because all I could feel was this fluid running through me. I knew immediately I was having a spiritual awakening. As soon as it reached my toes, I started crying, and I choked. I couldn't say anything except that her story was my exact story. But no one around me understood what I had gone through in that moment, and neither did I actually until just a few years ago. So yeah, that was incredible. I had a pretty, I guess, normal life after that. Not normal as in I didn't have things happening in my life, but normal as in I didn't have spiritual messages after that point. After that point, I was extremely focused on figuring out why I was the way that I was. I was convinced that there was something medically wrong with me, that I did the things that I did and saw the things I saw and heard the things I heard. I had never been introduced to spirituality. I had only been introduced to mental health. So about that time, my daughter started experiencing very severe mental health issues. My daughter was in and out of psychiatric units her entire life. When she turned 12 years old, she was put into a psychiatric unit for the last 5 years of her adolescence. She was in Missouri, so I was driving back and forth to Missouri to see her, and then she was eventually moved back to Ohio. So my passion for psychology grew so much more after that. I've always had a deep passion for the human mind. So I spent 20 years, almost 20 years. It's incredible. Learning about psychology at that point. So here I am, 20 years into learning about the human mind, and with my unending faith in God, and all of a sudden my gifts open wide up. Sheesh Louise. So I experienced quite a bit of trauma in my life. A lot of trauma, a lot of abuse, a lot of neglect. I was very damaged. I had a lot that I had to work through. So man, crazy life. So sorry. Whenever I hear something, I have to stop and absorb it. I'm very grateful for the messages that I do receive. And I'm also grateful for what's behind me, hugging me right now. And I will always pay homage to that every chance that I get. So yeah, I had a very wild life up until I understood exactly who and what I was. And in December of 2023, one of my guides came to me. I was unaware that he was my guide at the time. He was actually one of my very, very dear friends that had passed away. And I kept hearing him. So I ended up being directed to someone in his family that then helped me open up my ancestry. As soon as I opened up my ancestry, my whole life changed. I was introduced to my great-grandmother. I was introduced to my grandfather, who had been a prominent vision in not only my life, but my daughter's life, clear up until this point. And I actually got to remote view my grandfather at 19 years old on the shores of Corregidor, where he served in the military. And he actually gave me the information of everything that was going to happen over the next 2 years. And when I tell you I thought the sky was falling, I'm telling you I thought the sky was falling. I lost my whole mind. I told everyone that the sky was falling, and everyone started calling me absolutely insane. I had absolutely no idea that what I was told by my grandfather was going to happen over the next 2 years. Man, have I learned some lessons. My goodness. Discernment was the biggest one. Silence was also another one. Understanding that what has been given to me is a gift, and I am to use it spiritually and silently. So I very much do now. So grateful for them. So yeah, I was introduced to my ancestry. Less than a month later, I went in for a shoulder surgery. During this shoulder surgery, wow, I've not talked about this openly ever. During my surgery, I had a near-death experience. I will never forget it. I know exactly what I saw. I know exactly what happened to me. And when I came back, the only thing that I could see around me was like a white cloud. And I'm looking down through this cloud, and all I could see was from about my belly button to my knees. But if you know anything about a shoulder surgery, they do this surgery sitting up. They strap your body and your head to the back of the table, and you're sitting in a complete upright position. And I tried to replay that vision several times after my shoulder surgery, because I was actually trying to prove that I was insane. And there was absolutely no way with my head and body strapped that I would have been able to look directly down and see the position of my body that I had seen. So then I started doing a little bit of research, not much. I actually only researched 2 separate people that had had a near-death experience, and what they had said happened to them was identical to what had happened to me. Prior to that, I had not read or seen anything that I recall of anybody having a near-death experience. So I woke up out of that surgery combative. I was screaming at the surgeons to get away from me because I knew that they had done something to me. Something happened. I was trying to remove my IV. And the friend that took me told the doctor that if they didn't remove my IV and release me, that he was afraid that I would get physical with them. So they removed my IV, and I left that day in my hospital gown, and my life has forever changed since that day. Since that day, man. Yeah. So I'm going to discuss what happened from then on as to who and what I am. But first, we are going to take a small break, and Marcus is going to play you guys a clip from some retreats that he's holding. So enjoy those retreat clips.
5 days in Costa Rica paradise with mind, body, emotion ceremonies for only $1,666. I am talking about the Sacred Light Spring Retreat happening May 2nd to 6th at Jocko Beach, hosted by shamanic energy guide Marcus Crystallite, his queen Rhonda Clark, and his family. Picture this. You are staying right on the beach at Jocko Bay Towers, experiencing sunset sailing, legendary waterfalls, and connecting with sloths and monkeys at Manuel Antonio National Park. Your days are filled with cacao ceremonies, beach yoga, divine union teachings, and sound baths, while your evenings feature heart-made vegan meals and bioluminescent adventures. Airport transportation included, payment plans available, but you will need your passport ready. For just $1,666, you get 5 transformative days with your soul tribe. Quick spaces are limited, so register through the Jotform link below or visit li.sten.2 Sacred Light Retreats. Questions? Email Marcus at marcus.23@gmail.com. See you in paradise this spring. Wholeness, balanced love.
Yeah, I would definitely rather be there right now. It's snowing here. So, February 8th, 2024. It's been almost 2 years since my life has changed. What I know to be true is that everything I experienced, every human being that I encountered up until that point, every small, minor quote, every little thing that I've said, up until February 2024 was completely by design. Completely. So nothing is a coincidence. Not anything. Nothing. I came out of that surgery and I was having prophetic visions. I was able to see in the dark. I do work with spirits. I work with a lot of dark spirits that most people don't want to work with. I have worked with attachments. I am capable of seeing things that, most people can't. However, I have found a very, very, very lovely group of human beings that are gifted as well. And they have so graciously walked me through this. It truly started with my Wiccan friends. I immediately went to see them, and they walked me through a lot of things, a lot of darkness. So what I do now at this point is I actually don't do anything, professionally from any kind of website, anything like that. I rely fully on God, and God sends me exactly who I'm supposed to be working with, who I'm supposed to be talking to. Most people just randomly reach out to me and they say, for some reason, I felt like I needed to talk to you about this. And I'm then capable of speaking with their ancestors. I have a very close connection to grandmothers. I am a grandma myself, and my great-grandmother is one of my strongest guides. I have a very, very deep connection to grandmothers. So I am capable of working with people, and their ancestors will come to me and speak to me and guide me. Everything that I say to other people is directly given to me. I actually had a psychic tell me not too long ago that he saw just a direct beam of light going straight into the top of my head, which is ironic because that's where I feel the majority of my pressure. However, I do feel pressure in my entire head when I'm working. I am very capable of many great things, and I'm very grateful for it. So, yeah, I am capable of hearing and seeing things that most people can't. I've encountered some wild things in this past 2 years. My goodness. All of it's relevant. Every last bit of it is relevant. The biggest and most important thing that I do, though, is teach people about the true meaning of the kingdom of God. I actually knew when I came out of surgery that that's exactly what I was going to be doing. Everything under the kingdom of God is everything you see before you. There's a lot of discrepancy and a lot of arguments from people that, there's one way is the right way. But what I know to be true is that everything has a purpose. It's like we say, you have to really hone in on people's strengths until all of a sudden you're faced with someone that doesn't have that exact strength. And then all of a sudden, ego taps in and you have the desire to control. Excuse me. So what I do is I help guide people to their highest self. I am capable of seeing their shadows, full and frontal. You can't lie to me about anything. There's absolutely nothing that you can hide from me. If your guides or your ancestors call me in, they are calling me in and they're showing me every single thing that you try to hide. I don't make eye contact very much. I'm capable of seeing everything when I make eye contact. I'm also capable of hearing your thoughts, especially when I make eye contact. So if I am working with someone, I'm typically not making eye contact, which is an odd thing for me because my whole life growing up, I was taught, it's respectful to make eye contact. So I always made eye contact with people. At this point, though, if I don't want to pry and I want you to be able to protect yourself, because that's not what I do. I don't mess with natural law in any way. then I allow people to speak to me in their own time. I might know already, but I don't want you to feel as though I'm prying intentionally. So I really try to steer away from eye contact. Not to mention, I do have the ability to bring people's attachments home. I can bring their darkness home. I can transmute it. I can speak with it. I can send it back out. I can find out where it came from, way far down in your ancestral line. And the moment it recognizes me, which is rapid fire, they know exactly what I am. They will come home with me. So I do also had to, I don't know what that was. I had to learn discernment very quickly. I had to learn who and what I could not actually be around in person. I can even bring it in through a phone, through a text message, through a phone call. Energy is energy. Energy is everywhere. You can't, just because I'm not around someone in person does not mean that I can't bring that energy through a phone call or, a message. So I learned discernment very rapidly when I found out that I had several attachments and demons as well, that I actually had to have removed. And I personally couldn't remove them. I had to reach out and I had to ask for help, which, is part of my own personal learning journey, was to ask for that help. I couldn't remove them. I had to go through several different avenues of energy work, all of them. And they all not only taught me what they do and what they know, but they removed little by little what was in and around me. So then, I have the gift of wisdom. I was very, very, very rapidly learning about different kinds of energy work. As soon as I was introduced to it, I was given all the information that I needed to know about it. I didn't have to go through any initiations for any of it, any, certifications, anything like that. The information was just given to me. But I first had to reach out and put myself in that world first, which is also a part of my own personal journey. So yeah, it's been a very incredible 2 years, less than 2 years. During this 2 years as well, I had experienced medical issues that almost took my life. I had an ungodly amount of inflammation in my body. I had been in survival mode my whole life. I was hyperventilating. I was waking up out of my sleep, gasping for air. They couldn't regulate my heart rate, my blood pressure, my white blood cell count. I was no longer producing red blood cells. So then I was getting infusion treatments at hematology oncology. I drew the line when 2 friends of mine took me to go get a heart catheter done, because at some point I survived a blood clot. I didn't even know I had a blood clot. I survived a blood clot. It passed through, but it had left scarring on my heart. And so my heart doctor was extremely concerned and wanted to do a heart catheter. And my guides told me no. I was ready. I had the IV in. I was ready to go. And my guides very boldly told me to leave. So I did. And I spent the next 2 years learning nervous system regulation, somatic breathing, electrolytes over water, proper eating habits, which was odd for me to say because I was a nutritionist for 10 years prior to all of this happening. I was a farmer. I was big into weightlifting. So at the time, in my head, I was like, I'm extremely healthy. I know everything that there is to know about anything. I didn't know shit. I didn't know anything. I was so immensely spiritually and emotionally sick. It did not matter what I was eating, drinking, or physically doing. I should not have lived. I should not have lived through what I experienced this past 2 years. I almost didn't. I was heat sensitive, light intolerant, sound sensitive. I couldn't go outside at all during the day. I couldn't even open my eyes. I was experiencing such excruciating migraines. I was getting injections in my forehead, temples, in between my eyes, my skull, and my neck. My neck muscles were bulging and blocking off my blood flow from my major artery in the left side of my neck to my brain. I was stuttering and stammering. I couldn't speak properly. And this was all from my body finally giving out after 40 years of trauma. But I solely survived because I was capable of listening. I was capable of listening to the voices around me, and I knew what I was hearing. I knew what I was seeing was facts. It took me 1.5 years before I found anyone that understood that I had to do this spiritually, holistically, and energetically to heal. Most people were really pushing the medication, the doctors, the procedures, and I knew in my heart, you couldn't convince me otherwise. And it saved my life. My guides, man, when I very first got sick, I'll never forget, I heard, they told me to rest, and they told me to heal quietly, that my healers would heal me. I could speak for a whole nother hour about that, but they most certainly did. So I also work with people in their physical health. So I help people understand the correlation between their physical and mental health. And I am also capable of seeing what is physically wrong with them. I can actually feel it. So even just having a mild conversation with someone, I can feel what's wrong in their body. I know where it starts. I know how to fix it for them. I know what they need to do to fix themselves. I am a healer, but I do not snap my fingers. I do not mess with natural law. And what I do is I speak with people's higher selves so that they can then hear how they need to heal themselves. I am capable of speaking with people's higher selves. I really haven't encountered anything that I'm not capable of speaking with, if you want to be honest with you. I've worked with dozens of people over the past 2 years. I'd probably say close to 100. And there's nothing that I have not seen or spoke with thus far, including their own physical bodies. I really try not to, openly speak so much about myself to this degree, because I am not only very humbled by my abilities, but I don't need the recognition. I know I work for God. I walk on the right-hand side. I also look the left-hand side directly in the eye, though. And that's something that was given to me. We call that trusting people with the darkness. I am trusted with the dark. I'm trusted with people's very, very deep pain. Because I don't then turn around and talk about it. I don't feed it. I transmute it. And nothing makes me happier, nothing, than when someone gets a hold of me, maybe a day or two after I've spoke with them, and they are not only physically, mentally, and emotionally and spiritually feeling better, but they are also then immediately starting to follow the path to their highest self. Man, it is an incredible blessing to be this way. It is very scary at first. It is extremely isolating. But I would rather spend the majority of my time alone and be able to heal the world than be the life of the party like I used to be. I choose to spend my time alone. A lot of people say don't take your role very seriously. It's not that serious. Enjoy your human experience. That's not my path. I do very much enjoy the human experience, but I'm still enjoying that experience from a human body and a very, very non-human existence. I've had 3 walk-ins in my life. If you're unaware, a walk-in is when you're gifted the entrance of a stronger soul than your own. Spirit, I should say. Every time what entered me became my identity, and every single time it was hard to actually fit that soul inside my body. When I first got sick 2 years ago, I told my friends I felt like I had an entire person inside of my physical body. I could feel it. I could see it. I could speak with it. And the people around me could as well. I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful to the friends that were capable of seeing it as well. They enabled me to fully step into what I am. So this has been a very incredible experience for me. I'm so very humbled, so very grateful. So when people ask what I am, I typically just tell them I'm a lot. If I needed to put a label on it, I would say mystic or shaman. But what I hear and what I know to be true is that not quite sure there is an official label for what I am, who I am, and what I'm capable of doing. I have no formal training in anything, but I am still capable of doing it all. It depends on who is sent to me. So I do work with men, I work with women, I do the inner child healing. I am capable of all of that, but it's dependent on you as to what I'm going to do for you. I did not spend my life training for any of these things. However, I did spend my life training for these things. It's an oxymoron, I know, but my life story up to this point is very much the testimony for why I was, placed here. I am here for a specific reason in this time. I know exactly what my role is. I know exactly who I am. I know all my past lives. I do know my next life as well. So I know all the key players in my life that I have spent lifetimes with. We all share the same memories. Those are all very personal to me. My next life is incredibly personal to me. But yeah, there's nothing I'm not capable of doing in my very, very humble expert opinion. I am a master of rites. So, man, I feel like that hour went by incredibly fast. And I barely even scratched the surface. But I know there will be more of that. And, the more I go on in this life, the more my story is going to come out. I do talk about it here and there with people. But really at the end of the day, I don't feel as though I need to talk about it constantly. I don't feel like I need to viciously repeat, excuse me, much of it. I do speak about it solely because I want people to know, hey, if you're struggling with this, let me help you. But aside from that, yeah, I don't broadband. I don't advertise. I don't ask for payment. I don't have websites. I know exactly who I need to see is going to be sent to me. And I fully trust that. I don't think much about tomorrow. I don't remember yesterday. I just trust. I'm just aware that, God is going to do. My cat is in heat. Hey! Jeez Louise. I have 3 cats, 3 protectors. That's counsel. And my youngest female is right now in heat. So she's back there screaming like a wild banshee. So, every week it's something. This week it's going to be my screaming cat. Jeez Louise. So, yeah. Yeah. And there goes my son yelling at her. I love being live, man. This is great. Oh, I don't mind. This is my life. Yeah. So I really want people to know if they need any help with anything, to reach out to me. I'm not afraid of the dark. I'm not afraid of working with the dark. I'll whistle in the Appalachian. It does not bother me. I can help people through a lot of things, a lot of physical ailments, spiritual, mental, emotional. I've walked the whole path. I can't think of one trauma that I have not experienced up to this point, and I fully mean that. Excuse me. I had to experience it all. How am I supposed to walk someone through something if I've never experienced it myself? At that point, I would just be reiterating what I learned in a book. Energy as a connection. And, I am actually very grateful for every mark of pain, every scar, every wound, every back turned, every door shut, every hand on me that should have never been on me. Because I now get to use that and help so many people all over the world. I really sacrifice, and I fully understand that. And I would do it all over again. So now, instead of Sal, here she comes. Ma'am, hey. What? Well, this is just getting awkward. She's big upset right now. Oh, come here. No? Okay, then go. I know, she's going to run away screaming. So yeah, I turned from sacrifice to surrender. So I no longer have to sacrifice. Yay, I know. Is that because the cat left, or because I don't sacrifice anymore? Yeah, my time is up. I've run my karmic cycle. And it was a 40-year cycle. Actually, it was longer than that if we count my last life. I made that choice. I chose to be here. I chose to experience the pain that I experienced. And I know this to be a fact because I remember my past lives. And I also very, very heavily trust my spirit team, as well as my friends in, this life that have walked me through my spiritual journey the past 2 years. When that door opened, I've never been so scared in my life. Never. My faith was so strong though. And I knew what I saw. You couldn't convince me otherwise. You still can't. So I chose to make that sacrifice. And I made that sacrifice because I am love. And I want to help people. I believe in this species. I believe in what we can actually accomplish if we do it together. I know without a doubt, I chose to make those sacrifices so that I could be here now to walk people home. I say that all the time. The word home still makes me choke up. I've been home. Whew. And when I say I miss them, it comes from a very deep place. For a long time after all my gifts opened at once, there was nothing more that I would have loved than to go home. But I'm not done here yet. So home comes to me now. And they're always with me. I have 4 main ones that are with me every single day. And I have several others that stop in very regularly. And I have very much learned how to detach myself from the need of a physical something next to me, because I can feel them around me. I feel their energy. They give me a physical, I feel them in my physical. And not just, goosebumps or my hair. I feel them hugging me. I feel their hands on my shoulders. I don't lack in any way in physical connection at all. But it is very dense here. It is very heavy here. And once you truly experience that peace when you leave and you come back, that's when you really, really, truly understand what you're dealing with on this planet. I also do work with aliens. I just kind of figured that was very clear, but for some reason I felt like I needed to say that just now. I do have one that's with me all the time. He checks my progress. Creepy looking fella. I've only had I've had 2 other people actually see him, and they told me that he was there and then described him to me, and I lost my mind. I was like, you can see it. So that was pretty exciting for me. Man, home. I say that a lot. I've actually said that for about 15 years now, and I had no idea at the time that it was going to be so incredibly relevant to my life now. And we are all just walking each other home. That's what we're doing here. We are here to live in unity, and that does not mean that we are here to be machines. We are not here to be exactly like everybody else. We are here to be diverse. We were actually specifically placed from different diverse, star clusters, or there's a whole plethora. We were created to be individuals, to then honor each other's strengths through our individuality, to find your connections, the ones that you are, the most like, but then not to eliminate and turn your back on the ones that are different from you, but then to honor their strengths so that we can all work together. That is what we are doing here. And it's wild to me because the entire universe is doing that. There are laws out in the universe that are very, very relevant and very real. And they respect each other out in the universe. They respect each other out there. They not only respect their diversity out there, but they also respect each entity's mission and walk and path. There's full respect. That's what the entire kingdom of God is. That's my biggest job in this world. And that's why I know I'm capable of working with so many different things, is because I do understand, and I have seen, spoke with, worked with, been actually there. I am capable of remote viewing, astral projecting. I can do it wide awake with my eyes open in the middle of a conversation with someone. If they call me, I'm going. My, avatar is here. My body is here. My mind is here. Mind, body, soul. It's all completely different things. But they take me with them briefly. So yeah, that's one of my favorites. I get to spend a lot of time, with my family out there. So yeah, that's what we're doing here, man. We are literally all just walking each other home. Everybody's going to learn in their own time, on their own path. Not everybody's path is going to be the same. Not everybody is here to lead. Not everybody is here to be a light worker. Not everybody is here to, we are all here for individual things. We not only have to respect that higher authority, because they respect us. We also need to respect each other's individuality. So, it's the law of the universe, man. I don't know. I don't know. I know I don't want to go against it, but I wouldn't. I don't. And I lead the way. So yeah, I could really go on and on and on. I'm extremely passionate about all of this. So yeah, I guess I typically just leave people with, if you need me for anything, I'm here. If you just need someone to speak with, someone to teach you how to, move energy through your body. And I am not in any way the type of person that even wants to do anything on my own. I know extremely very gifted, very powerful, very intelligent people. And I do constantly send people to who I feel, would be the proper, person for them to speak with, as far as, Reiki healers, crystal healers, energy workers, people that alchemize. I hear Marcus does it all. So I see a little smile in my head from him. But yeah, I actually would really prefer, please come to me. Please allow me to guide you to who can walk you home. And typically by the end of someone's healing journey, they always seem to make their way back to me again. And I then get to help them explore and understand the very next step. That is what I do. I do lead that time. Very gracefully, very humbly. I lead the way. So, excuse me. I do take my role very seriously, and I don't plan on changing that. I do still love to laugh, but what's happening right now is very serious, and everybody deserves to have better understanding and unity and community, man. So that's why I like having such diverse people on the show. Everyone has something to teach you. Maya Angelou said it best, we are all teachers. That's been one of my favorite quotes my whole life. You can learn something from a homeless man on the street just as much as you can learn something from, a king in the palace. Everybody has something to teach you. You just have to be willing to listen. And listening is probably the most important thing that you're actually going to do in this life. Not only listening to your own physical self, listening to your higher self, listening to your guides, listening to the people in your life and around you that are trying to teach you and show you an easier, softer way to live, because they are very much there. So yeah, I am very grateful to be trusted with so many different gifts. And it very much excites me to not only help other people open their gifts, but just to understand what peace and love truly means. It's an incredible life. Craziest life I've lived thus far, and I remember all my lives. So yeah. Yeah, I think that's about where I think I might leave it at this week. I could probably go on and on forever, and I will definitely be on again. I choose to do 1 week a month with just myself, or a friend or someone sitting with me. Marcus and Lee sat with me. I want to more openly. I have been looking for people's comments on the right-hand side of the chat. Dang it. See, I knew I was doing something. I don't do technology. Hi, Sandra. It's everybody. When and who called you? See, I was going to say that too. I was actually going to talk about, I can't believe I've been missing these this whole time, man. Dang. House Mama. That is actually something that I was going to say. I was called House Mama 15 years ago. I've always really loved taking care of people. What started as a psychological trauma because I was a people pleaser. I never wanted anyone to feel and experience the trauma, abandonment, pain, and suffering that I had felt in my 40 years. I still to this day don't think that there has been one person that actually knows the amount of times I've been homeless, the amount of times I've been to court for my kids, because I was homeless. I was a farmer for on and off for 11 years. Man, I've suffered in this lifetime. And I don't think I ever really openly spoke to anybody, which is why my body got so sick. I held it in. I held my breath, and my neck muscles would bulge. And every time I walked out my door, I made sure to walk out my door with the biggest smile on my face and walking sunshine. And the first time anyone ever told me anything about auras, it was in, I think, 2018. And my very, very, very good friend of mine, she's actually my sister. She and I have shared many lifetimes together. She told me I had a yellow aura. I immediately was like, what's that? I had no idea. But yeah, I was always cooking for people, helping pay people's bills. People were living with me, babysitting people's children, taking people, where they needed to go. You won't find any of this on Facebook. I prefer for people not to announce when I, do things. I don't do things for the, gumption of it. I do it because I don't like to see people in pain. So I had a group of friends about 15 years ago, named me House Mama. Everyone was always at my house. If you needed anything, laundry done, food, it didn't matter what it was. So yeah, they started calling me House Mama. And when I decided to do the show, I was discussing with Marcus all the different things that, I could name the show. And there was nothing else that I wanted it to be called than House Mama, especially in this time. We do know that the divine feminine is coming back. I'm a huge fan of Mary Magdalene. Huge. That's my girl. You embody that. You embody that feminine. And it is very divine. And Mary Magdalene was the first one to know. She was the first one to know. the divine feminine is coming back. I say a lot, mom's coming around to put it back the way it ought to be. But, in this world, we women are the protectors in the spiritual world, and we hold that space for that divine masculine, so that he is comfortable in all corners spiritually surrounding him, so that he can be the present divine protector in the physical world. So we always look at a man as the number one, but man, we are the very quiet whisper. We protect in the spirit. And that is extremely powerful. Extremely powerful. A woman's intuition is something that's constantly spoke about. What I know to be true is that intuition is just the beginning of a gift. It's the beginning of you opening a gift. People say it's nerves. Your nerves are, constantly aware. While yes, that can be true in the 3D. What I know in every dimension that I've been to, you have a gift. Treat it as such. Treat it as such. It's an honor. It's a blessing, and it's a beautiful thing. So, yeah. Sandra said, yes, we are all teachers and students. The validity to that. I've learned things from my children as much as I've learned things. Oh, thanks, Sandra. I have learned things from my children as much as I've learned from all the masters that I have been blessed to walk with. I've walked with shamans as well. And that's when I knew. That's exactly when I knew that I was a shaman, and I don't say that out loud very often. I just felt that from the base of my skull down my spine. I knew, immediately that I was called to shamanism. So how could I not be with all the different paths that I've walked, all the lessons I've learned, all the things that I have mastered, and all the things I'm capable of doing and knowing. And the only thing that I want to do with all of this is help people heal. A healer is someone that helps you to heal yourself. We speak a lot about, Jesus having the ability to place hands and heal. That is not the only way that you can heal. The path of the shaman is self-healing. The path of the shaman is to sit in that silence with just God. The path of the shaman is to understand the self. The better that I understand myself, the better I'm going to be able to understand you, even the things that you don't know about yourself yet. And wow, there's no better way to walk someone home. You are walking yourself back to yourself, your own wholeness. I'm so grateful. I wouldn't take back any of the pain. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't take back the darkest of the dark night of the soul. I wouldn't take back any of the times that I called my friends screaming and crying, saying, I can't do this anymore. I can't do it anymore. They're so loud. They don't let me sleep. They wake me up. I wake up and it's swirling above my head in my room because I've got so many entities around me. I had no idea how to protect myself from that at that point. And they saw me and just wanted me to see them. And I know that to the deepest depths, because my entire life, I just wanted to be seen. And I didn't understand I was so seen. I was so loved. I was so walked with. I was so protected. I have markings on the palms of my hands. I have Norse and Nordic runes. I woke up about a year ago and I had 2 symbols of protection marked into the lines of my hands that absorbs the entire middle. There's no mistaking it for anything else. And in that moment, I realized just exactly how protected I am to do what I do. Man, this is a wild life. 1:15:15. So yeah, I really will end it with that though, because I'll talk for days. And I do plan on, I guess, breaking down my story into smaller chunks so I can better explain. A lot of people ask me how, and to be honest with you, this has been a 41-year journey for me until I understood that everything that had happened was training me for this exact moment. Sheesh. So yeah, I do plan on speaking more in, smaller chunks, really trying to help people understand how to find your own path. I'm not trying to help people understand how to follow my exact path. I want to help you find your path. I want to hone in on your strengths. I want you to be at your highest self and the most productive for the entire kingdom of God, because we were put here specifically to do this job. Excuse me, Earth is the youngest planet. We're the youngest species. We were literally created to remove the dark. When they say, God created light, that the earth was dark, it was not directly meaning the moon and the sun. They were talking about the darkness that was inhabiting the earth. And when God cast that light, here we are. Do something with this. Create something on this planet. This is a whole beautiful planet that we are responsible for, which is where, Wiccans, pagans come into play. They're not against God. They're part of God's kingdom. They are, by all means of the word, the keepers. So, yeah, we have to really start learning how to better understand what the full kingdom of God actually means. So, yeah, I'm going to work on kind of breaking down my story to help better guide people. And once a month, I can hop on here and walk people through a very specific situation in my life and help you to better understand it, connect it to yours. So I'm going to end it with that today, guys. If no one told you today, I love you. We are all just walking each other home. We'll see ya.